I have said what I had to say, and now I'm ready for the session of questions and answers. Swami Brahmananda is going to read the questions, and I'm going to try to answer them.
Om Swamiji, how does one deal with the feeling of indifference during detachment from the unreal?
We need to serve others. We should not be too much detached from the unreal. But that feeling of detachment from the unreal it's a type of tamas. Tamas means lethargy within the mind. The real feeling of a spiritual practitioner, the real inner feeling of a spiritual practitioner is inner joy, inner peace, and love, mainly love. And love is all-embracing, and it manifests as a desire to serve others, to help others, to alleviate the pain of others, and so on. So there is a crust of tamas. Tamas means lethargy, impurity of the mind, which gives us the feeling that we are detached from the unreal. But the point is that what we call our unreal, these are our fellow beings. And if we are detached from our fellow beings in the sense that we don't care for them, then this doesn't show, this is an obstacle to spiritual practice and not a sign of progress in the spiritual practice. So therefore, the antidote to this feeling is to go to the kitchen and to join the line of servers when they serve the food, and just to serve food, wash the dishes, clean the toilets, walk in the garden, teach yoga classes, and immerse yourself in karma yoga. This is very, very helpful. Then the meditation will become more real and much better, and this type of obstacle will be transcended. Yogis are aloof in the sense of being alone with the one and only, which is the real self. But the one and only is infinite love. This is the one and only. And he or she or it manifests as all of this creation, and being alone with the one means being alone with every single being in a connection of divine love. It's not what people think about detachment. It's detachment from worldliness. It's not detachment from the divine. It's not detachment from the real self. Therefore, it's not detachment from our fellow beings. So it's a stage along the spiritual path where we feel disconnected from everything. But we are going to transcend this stage by practice, and specifically by karma yoga. Okay.
Om Swamiji, what is the best thing to do when one is depressed?
I think today I'm going to say the same thing again and again. Yeah. The best thing to do when one is depressed is to step out of your room and to immerse yourself in karma yoga. This is the absolutely best thing. And also asanas and pranayama. And some kirtan. Kirtan is chanting the divine name. This is also very helpful. But specifically karma yoga. Step out of your room. Don't stay in your room if you are depressed. And serve others. Forget about yourself. You are not important. Okay.
Om Swamiji, how can I increase love and compassion with a relative with whom the relationship isn't very good?
What's going on tonight? The answer is the same answer. Serve them. Just serve them. Serve them. Swami Shivananda Tov. Serve, love, give. How does it go, Swamiji?
Serve, love, give, purify, meditate,
purify.
realize.
So serve, this is karma yoga. Love, this is bhakti yoga. Give is share what you have with others. Purify, this will purify our heart and our mind. Then we become eligible for meditation. Meditate. Serve, love, give, purify, meditate. Then what?
Realize.
And then to meditation, we realize the self. But the foundation is serve. Swami Shivananda would say, serve, serve, serve. Love, love, love. Give, give, give. It's easy to say. Sometimes it's difficult to practice, but this is the real practice. Okay, so again, the question was about family. What was it about?
How to improve a relationship with a relative that...
Yeah. Relatives can be difficult, nevertheless. It's easy to serve those people that love us and are nice to us. It's difficult to serve the obnoxious ones, the difficult ones. But it's a good spiritual practice. So, okay. I can see where this evening is going. So. All right.
Swamiji, if there is one shloka from the Bhagavad Gita that you would suggest to study, memorize, and recite before meditation, which one would it be?
Sarvam dharman parityeje mamekam sharanam braja ham tva sarvam papebhyo moksha ishyami ma sucha. Abandoning all of your ideas of duty, take refuge in me alone. I'm going to liberate you from all sins or negative karma. Worry not. This is the verse that I suggest to meditate on. It appears in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It's a summary of the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. We should study and meditate on this verse. It's a very wonderful verse. Okay. And there is one more verse that I can suggest. I am the Atman, O Gudakesha, sitting in the hearts of all beings. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. This is also a wonderful verse to study and to meditate upon. Swamiji.
Swamiji, what is the significance of meditating on the focal point of the space between the eyebrows or the heart center?
These are chakras. Already in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is teaching us to meditate on. These are the centers of energy in the subtle body, and they are very significant within the process of meditation. Swami Vishnudevananda taught us to focus on these points according to our mental and emotional inclination. Some people are more emotional, and when they meditate, they should focus on the heart center, which is the center of feelings and of emotions. And some people are more intellectual by nature, and they should focus between the eyebrows. The Ajna chakra is the seat of the mind, therefore the focus should be here. So it goes according to our inclination. So when we meditate, Swamiji explained to us, this is like a bird which sits on a branch. So our mind rests in this point. It's like that bird that is actually sitting on the branch. So we rest in this center point, which is a chakra, an energy point. The mind rests there, and then we meditate. For example, the heart is a very good place where we can visualize our guru, or we can visualize the deity, where we can repeat our mantra. Ajna chakra, the same thing. We can visualize here the divine light of the one and only. and repeat for a while the mantra Om, which is the mantra of this center. Then the mind rests there. Then we can start our meditation. So this, Swamiji said, once you choose the point, do not change it. It takes time to master this meditation. So do not, first of all, try to see which point is more appropriate for you. But once you choose the point, stick to it and do not change it. Okay.
Swamiji, why does one become a monastic?
It's prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma means destiny. When we are born in order to do certain things in life. This life is, it's a school. It's a place where we come in order to progress spiritually. And we have to learn many, many lessons. Many of the lessons are called karmic lessons. We have done things in the past. We have made mistakes in the past. And for many, many lives, we are making the same mistake. Especially, many of the mistakes have to do with relationships, but so many other mistakes are there. And we have to fix, in order to progress, we need to fix these situations and to move on. We are born in order to learn, to love, and to serve. We are born in order to gain wisdom. We are born specifically and mainly in order to realize the self. So life is about duties. Life is about lessons that we have to go through. Life is about completing things that we started in the past and we need to complete them. But simply we say, what happens to us today is the result of what we have done in the past. We have to experience the results of our own actions. And we do not experience the results of our own action in one lifetime. We experience them in many, many lifetimes, and these are lessons for us to go through. If we are successful in going through these lessons, we can move on, we can progress. So, prarabdha karma means those actions that we have done in the past that became subtle seeds in our mind. We call them karmic seeds. And then at a certain point in time they sprout and they manifest as a life. And our life has to be experienced so we can learn and we can progress. So if you marry, this is destiny. If you become a Swami, this is destiny, prarabdha karma. Destiny means you need to go to this in order to progress. And if you have to become a Swami, you can't help it. You will become one whether you like it or not. And if you have to marry, you can't help it. You'll marry whether you like it or not. The main thing is not, you can be a good Swami or a bad Swami, and you can be a good householder or a bad householder. It's better to be a good one. And because good means that we are fulfilling our mission in this life. So monasticism is very important. There are many important things that you learn when you are a monastic. But it's not for everyone. It has to do with destiny, with prarabdha karma. In a certain life, you are going to be a monastic. In another life, you were a householder. And in another life, something else. We were born as male and as female, as householders and monastics. So many things were there, and in each life we are learning something. So it is destiny. So if once we it's our vocation. It's like a vocation. It's like a mission. So once we realize, yes, in this life, this is what I have to do, then we have to give it our best and to see that we are successful in this vocation, to see that we are successful in this path, and we learn what we have to learn. So is with the householder life. So is with so many other things in life. So it is destiny. I hope I answered this question. Okay.
Om Swamiji, how does one maintain a healthy attachment to their spiritual preceptor?
It's not advisable to be attached to the spiritual preceptor. It's not so good. But nevertheless, we are attached. When I met Swami Vishnudevananda, I met him here for the first time. I had no idea that he is my guru. Then I realized at a certain point that he is my guru, and he acknowledged it, and he accepted me as a disciple. And then he showered me with love and attention and everything. So I really wanted to stay with him. And then one night during satsang, he called me up like, on the stage. But the stage was here on the tennis court. There was a stage where the officers are. And he gave me already a spiritual name, so I sat next to him and he hugged me in front, he embarrassed me actually, in front of everyone. And he said, you know, this is Mr. So-and-so, means myself, and he has a very important mission to carry. I felt so good when he said so. and therefore, and he said, well, and that mission is in the Middle East, and he has to go to Israel and to spread there the yoga and Vedanta, and I'm sending him, and he has to go immediately. I was so disappointed because I wanted to be with him. But it's not so good to be attached to your teacher. It's better to be attached to your teacher than to be attached to other things, certainly. But a good teacher will not allow you to be attached for too long. He will take steps to liberate you from your own attachments. And so I went, and then I spent for about 10 years in Israel doing what he told me to do. And when I really felt good about being there, he sent one of his chief disciples there to pull me out of there, actually. He sent a special envoy to pull me out of the center. And he pulled me out, and afterwards he just moved me around. And afterwards I never truly came back. I was going back for a few months, but he truly pulled me out. And then after a while, when you are not attached to your teacher in a gross way, then you experience the real bond with your teacher, which is a bond of love and devotion, and where your teacher truly teaches you whether you are physically with him or not. But he moved me around like crazy. And then Swamiji had a question. Swamiji was testing his disciples, and one of the questions was, are you ready to go where I'm going to send you? This was the question. And he was very stern when he was asking this question, because we have this tendency to become attached to places, to people, to position, and if you sincerely told him, yes, Swamiji, so you surrendered, he was very happy. He was very, very happy. And it took some years, but then you get rid of these superficial attachments, and then the real connection is there, which is of the nature of freedom. Your guru doesn't want you to be bound. Your guru wants you to be free, within and without. No guru wants you to be bound. They are there to teach us how to realize the self, not how to be attached to them. But of course we love them. They are our gurus, and to a certain degree we are all attached until the end to our gurus. There's no doubt about it. They are not 100% successful, but they are successful to a good degree. Now, Swamiji was like this. He was very much, in a sense, you can say, he was very much attached to his master, to Swami Shivananda, until the end of his life. But he was also not attached. He was not, in a sense, he became his master. He was transformed into an aspect of his master. So it was very special to see this. He always thought about Swami Shivananda, always, always. And everything that he did for his guru, for Swami Shivananda. So it's not very advisable for a spiritual aspirant to be too attached, because those attachments are very gross and they bind us. But on the other hand, we don't have the power to remove these attachments. We need help. And the guru gives us this help by using different means. So this is more or less.
Swamiji, what is the most important lesson that the guru teaches the disciple?
The most important lesson that the guru teaches the disciple is to forget himself. That's the most important lesson. Because we are not ourselves. We are everyone. So we are fixated on the idea that we are ourselves, but we are not ourselves. In reality, we are every single being. So Swami Shivananda was teaching detach, attach. And the Guru is teaching us to forget ourselves and to immerse ourselves in the love and the service of others. So we realize our true identity, which is all. This is the most important teaching of the Guru, and the ultimate realization of this happens when we realize the self, because the self is God and the self is all. And this is what we are. So, but the first training of a guru is the guru is teaching us to forget ourselves. Like, always think about others. And then when you think about others, eventually you find yourself. This is how it works.
Swamiji, can you please tell us a story about your guru, Swami Vishnudevananda?
Story. Many, many stories. I tell you a little bit about how I met him. Before I met him, I studied with some of the close disciples of Swami Shivananda since a young age. But then one year I was traveling, I was in an airport, and I felt that I would like to buy a book, just to do something useful while I'm waiting for the airplane. And I went to the store to buy a book, and there was this shelf. And for some reasons, there was the front row of the books, and then there was the row behind. And I couldn't see what was behind, but I was very much attracted to the books which were behind. So I just pushed my hands deep, and I picked up a book. I couldn't see what it is, and I pulled it out. And it was the complete illustrated book of yoga by Swami Vishnudevananda. By that time, I knew quite a bit about yoga, but anyway, I knew that he's a disciple of Swami Shivananda, and my teachers also were close disciples of Swami Shivananda. And so I read this book, and I was very, very impressed. Of course, if you look at the book, you see Swami Vishnudevananda as he looked when he was quite young. This is how he looked. But so then I forgot about it, but in my mind, I felt that I would like to meet this great yogi. I was very much impressed with the book. And I also started to study and to practice some of the practices there. Then I think it was 1975. At that time I was in Israel, and I opened the newspaper just like this, and I saw an ad that Swami Vishnudevananda is going to give a lecture and a demonstration of yoga in a famous place, in a well-known place, in a well-known street in the center of Tel Aviv. I was so happy to meet him for the first time. So I went to that place, and to my disappointment, I found the place dark and locked. So I was a little despondent. I walked the street. I was so eager to meet Swami Vishnudevananda, and that place was closed. Hundreds of people were walking on the street, and I was one of them. I walked for a while, and suddenly I felt that someone is tapping on my shoulder. And I looked, and there was this man, middle-aged, and he looked at me and he asked me, "Are you looking for the yogi?" I thought, how does he know that I am looking for the yogi? I mean, is there something peculiar about me? I was just another person in the street, so how does he know that I'm looking for the yogi? But anyway, I was quite happy that someone asked me such a question. So I told him, yes, I'm looking for the yogi. He said, well, the lecture was supposed to be in that place, but they changed the location. I said, oh, thank you very much. Where is the new location? So he told me. So I went there. It was a nice hall. There were hundreds of people. And like here, but there was no stage. So I saw people sitting there. And I was searching the focal point, like, where is Swami Vishnudevananda going to sit? I couldn't see such a place. Anyway, I sat with everyone else. Suddenly, I felt something like a tornado approaching. You felt that energy. And I never met him before. I had no idea how he looked, so I only knew him from the book. And suddenly he appeared, and he looked very differently from the way that he looked in the book. His hair was long, and he was not as tall as I thought he would be. He was chubby. Anyway, and on top of it, he came and he sat on a table. There was no stage, but he sat on a table. So I got used to it. Okay, he doesn't look like I expected. He doesn't sit where I expected, which is, it was different. He felt powerful. I was quite open. And then he started to recite those South Indian stotras for a while. And I didn't like it. But anyway, I was waiting patiently for him to finish. And then he started to give the lecture. I didn't like the lecture. But there was something very peculiar. I didn't like how he looked, how he sat, how he lectured, how he chanted. I didn't like any of this. But I liked the man, I liked him. It was very funny. I didn't like any of these things, but I liked him. I felt the power and the truth radiating from him. Then after the lecture, he said that we can make one line and we can approach him one by one and we can ask him questions, personal questions. So this is what we did. At that time, my mind was quite critical, and I thought that I know a lot and I'm very smart. So in my mind, very devious type of questions formulated. Devious in the sense that I felt, okay, I'm going to test him and I'm going to see if he's for real. Or maybe he's a fake yogi, I don't know. And then my turn came. I was quite close to him, and there was one person before me. And I was ready. My mind was clear. The questions were ready. Not something like I'm going to show him. So, and my turn came, and I was just ready to ask him the question. And at that moment, he looked at me, and something happened. My question was answered, but in a way that I did not expect. I was totally shocked. But I got the answer. So I prostrated, and I left. Then, and I was deeply, deeply, deeply impressed and shocked at the same time, because of the way of how he answered that question. Then after the lecture, I asked some people, is there a yoga center, or where can I come and study his teachings? So they told me. And I went to the center and I became staff. And then later on, I came here to the ashram to study with Swamiji. And he was here, there were many people, and at that time the yoga teacher training course was 6 weeks, and so was the advanced yoga teacher training course. So I took both courses, and I spent some time in the ashram. And I was very keen to study with him, but during the time when I was not studying, for some reasons, I made sure to keep my distance from him. So if he was walking on this path, I would make sure to be on the other path, and so on. It was quite peculiar. I didn't want to get too close to him, although he was extremely powerful and wise, and he was extraordinary. Then one day I was walking this path on the right side, and he was in his house, Swamiji's house, and I tried to just to stay away from him. So, and I got there to the bay, and he was in his hammock at Swamiji's house, and he called me. So of course I went. And then he told me something, and something happened at that moment. I was totally surprised, because I never believed that I'm going to have a guru in my life. Never. I mean, I was ready to study with great yogis, but never believed that I will have a guru in this life. I didn't look for a guru. What do I need a guru for? What I need is to study well and to practice well. So he called me, and he just said one thing, and at that moment, like a veil was removed, and I realized that he's my guru, just like this, extremely powerful. And also, he acknowledged, he accepted me as a disciple. And that was it. It shattered my mind, because it was contradictory to my set of beliefs. Like, what do I need a guru for? But then I realized that he's my guru. Then afterwards, it was hard work for many years. Like I told you, afterwards, he pulled me close, and then he just sent me away. And until the end of his life, he was an extraordinary spiritual preceptor. And I was fortunate to be with him for many years. And looking back after so many years, in perspective, I can say that he fulfilled his promises that he made to me. He made some promises, spiritual promises, and I can say, yes, he did fulfill them. So the more time I spent with him, although it was difficult sometimes, my faith in him and in the teaching just grew and grew and grew. He was such a teacher. And of course, after that moment, it was clear. It's like amnesia being removed. It was clear that he is my guru, and it was clear that I'm his disciple. And then afterwards, it was really hard work, because it is not the task of the guru to make your life easy. To the contrary. There is a lot of work to be done, and time is very short, so gurus are quite intense sometimes, many times. So this is a short story, and there are many more stories. Okay, Swami.
Swamiji, what is the nature of devotion?
The nature of devotion is love. Love towards God. Love towards your guru. It's intense love. And it's of the nature of divine attachment. Very difficult to explain what is divine attachment, but it's a type of attachment that liberates. It does not bind you, it does the opposite. And it's not external, it's inner. And God is within you as the self. So the nature of devotion is intense love towards the beloved, who is God or the guru. It can be the guru also. And it takes many, many forms. It's real. It's very powerful. And it's also of the nature of bliss. But it's also of the nature of pain. There is one mode of bhakti which is to experiencing the pangs of separation from your beloved. Bhakti is a very powerful system of yoga, but the centerpiece of bhakti is love. It's extraordinary love that you experience, and it's real. So I think that's it. You can continue, of course.
Swamiji, what does it mean to repeat God's name with devotion?
It means to repeat God's name with love. It's like if you are in love with someone, that person has a name. So when you think about the name of your beloved, it awakes love. And that love is directed towards the beloved, and it can be extremely intense. In fact, when you are in love, whether you wash dishes or you cook or whatever you do, you think about the beloved. That's what you do. And usually the beloved has a name. So when you say the name, you remember the beloved. When you remember the beloved, that love awakes and is directed towards the beloved. And eventually you united with the beloved through love. This is the nature of bhakti. Swami Shivananda had a statement that something about love, but at the end he would say, die in love. Means that at the end you are totally consumed, nothing is left out of you. You become one with the beloved. It's like a fire, it's really like a fire, where if you throw something in the fire, it's totally burnt. Nothing is left but the fire. So it's something like this, but it's of the nature of bliss. It's fire, but it's of the nature of bliss. No doubt about it.
Swamiji, is it beneficial to chant or repeat mantras even without devotion? And will this lead to devotion?
Yes, Swami Shivananda, the mantra has so much power. See, you need to understand what is a mantra. A mantra is a mystical power which is encased in a sound structure. So when you repeat the mantra, you release that divine power. Once it is released, a devotion manifests. So even if you repeat the mantra, like a parrot, after a while, the power of the mantra is going to manifest devotion. And once the devotion is manifested, then we call this bhava. Bhava means there is this loving relationship between the one that repeats the mantra and the one that carries the divine name, which is the mantra, right? So there is this love relationship between the lover and the beloved, and it's very powerful. So you start in the beginning, the repetition is mechanical. It can be even parrot-like, can be even boring, but there's so much power in the mantra that it will manifest devotion. Once it manifests devotion, you are on the spiritual highway. You are really on your path. So this is how it's done. It's a very powerful method because the name and the one that carries the name are one and the same. And when you repeat the name, immediately you are in the presence of the divine. Immediately, even if we are not aware immediately, but immediately we are in that presence. And by repetition, that power awakens, and we are on our way. Okay.
Swamiji, is meditation a state of thoughtlessness?
Not really. This is a mistake. Yoga's chitta vritim nirodha. Yoga is there is a state where there are no vrittis, no thoughts in the mind. This is a very high state of meditation. In other words, being without thoughts doesn't mean that there is an emptiness, there is no vacuity in your mind. It's not an empty mind. It's a mind which is full with the divine, right? Then the divine is not limited to your mind, it's everything. So it's not like an empty room, it's more like a room which is full of light. Full of wisdom, full of peace, full of power, full of inspiration, with no boundaries, full of joy. It's like this. So it's not thoughtlessness means very little, because what we think to be without thoughts is not being without thoughts. It's just one layer of thoughts has been removed. There are so many layers of thoughts under it. We are not aware of there are so many layers of thoughts. So sometime in meditation we think that there are no thoughts, but actually it's a state of tamas, it's a state of lethargy in the mind. Meditating mind is full of power, full of light, full of peace, full of love, full of joy, full of clarity, full of wisdom, full of inspiration. It's not a dead mind. When you come out of real meditation, you are like a volcano of divinity, of love, of wisdom. You are full of power. It's not like a graveyard. So there is a mistake in the understanding of thoughtlessness. It's not thoughtlessness in the sense that we understand it. Is that power of divine silence. It's very powerful. Okay.
Swamiji, what is the yogic way of making decisions?
Making what?
Decisions.
Decisions?
Yes.
Just like any other people. you you know, we use common sense, we use intuition, we try to be practical. So, you know, but of course, your practice is going to affect your physical body, your mind, your emotional state. So as you evolve, also the way of how you decide changes, right? But fundamentally, it's based on common sense, on intuition, and something even more important. You see, in the case of a real yogi, it's not just because common sense really means very little, and intuition also means very little. It's not so much common sense in intuition, but is what motivates your decisions. What is the motive behind the decision? In the case of Swamiji, it was love towards all humanity. He loved humanity. He wanted to serve everyone. He wanted to help. Then somehow his decision making was related to it. It was not about himself. You know, I can make decisions of how to improve my personal egotistic situation within society or within the ashram, or how to improve my worldly position within the ashram and things like this. But it is the motive behind the decision making which is the most important. Like, what motivates you? Then once the motive is pure and elevated, then the common sense becomes very powerful and the intuition becomes very powerful and it's meaningful. And I think that motivation is what differentiates between a real yogi and a beginner, because a real yogi is motivated by a strong desire to help others, to serve others. And again, I experienced it. They are full of love. This is not a joke. And love is not just empty love. It's not selfish love. These people they have selfless love. So, but they are full of wisdom, full of power. So yeah, common sense and intuition for sure, motivated by a desire to serve, to help, to alleviate pain, motivated by a very powerful love. So this is how it is.
Swamiji, what is the place of the senses in yoga? Do we cherish the beauty in creation or withdraw from it as a distraction?
Of course we cherish the beauty in creation. This is another mistake that people make. The other day I spoke with someone about the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And, the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is called Vibhuti Yoga, Yoga of Divine Glories. Arjuna tells Lord Krishna, I would like to hear something about you. Like, tell me something about yourself, right? I would like to know you better, so just tell me. Like, who are you? I want to hear. Then Lord Krishna starts to tell him, among the mountains I am the Himalaya, and among this I am that. So we call this divine glories. Divine glories means we need to focus on the word glory. Sometimes when we go to nature and we are in silence and we are at the top of a mountain and there is a sunrise, and at that moment we are in awe and we feel the divine, or at night in a very secluded and peaceful place we see the sky which is full of stars, and we feel the divine, we feel very close to the divine. So by contemplating nature, our minds withdraws and we experience the divinity within ourselves. So this is called the divine glow. The divine glow means that there are things which are glorious and to which the divine manifests. And so the senses can pull us outwards towards objects, worldly objects, or the senses can become avenues to which we are pulled within towards the real self. So how we utilize the senses can go both ways. So if you look at the picture of a deity, if you listen to mantras, if you smell the fragrance of the incense, if you hear the sound of the bell, if you hear the priest chanting the Vedic mantras like this, if you roll the beats of the japa mala, you are utilizing the senses certainly, but in a way that pulls your mind within. Similarly, when you contemplate God, to creation, to nature, also the mind is pulled within and you had that direct mystical experience. Therefore, the senses are like a what you call double-edged sword. Yeah, double-edged sword. They can pull you out towards worldliness, or they can pull you in towards the divinity. So it's not, they are not enemies. They are enemies if they move into a certain direction, but they become friends if they move into a different direction. So in yoga we talk about pratyahara, to withdraw the senses into the heart, towards the self, into the mind, like the tortoise that withdraws his limbs, like we speak like this. And very few people know how to do it. But once you do it, you are ready for meditation. So the senses have their own place in the yogic process, but they need to be directed correctly. We need to learn how to do it. So whether you look outward, you can look outward and at the same time the senses can be pulled in. And you can pull the senses in and you can see the whole creation within your heart. So this is how it is. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, Patanjali says that when the higher senses come into action, our doubts are removed. We have so many doubts, but they are all removed when the higher senses are activated. So the senses are like a double-edged sword. They can take us in different directions.
Om Swamiji, how does one practice bear insult and bear injury?
You become a staff in an ashram, and then it becomes easy. You have lots and lots of opportunities to practice it. It's true. This is the question that Swami Vishnudevananda asked Swami Shivananda. He was the personal assistant of Swami Shivananda, and there were many undesirable characters in the ashram at the time, the Sivananda Ashram. Swamiji was the personal secretary of the master, and he became a little haughty. He started to feel that, he's the assistant of the master, and of course, when you are near such a guru, you feel very pure, very elevated. And then he started to be very critical about all these people in the ashram, which are tamasic and rajasic and not very desirable characters and so on. So he went one day and he complained to Swami Shivananda, Master, why do you allow these people to be in the ashram? It would be better to send them away. They are not appropriate of being in an ashram. And Swami Shivananda looked at Swamiji and said, Vishnu Swami, if you are already a saint, there is no need for you to be in an ashram. And then you should go out and help other people. But if you are in the process of becoming a saint, and you are in an ashram, you need saint makers. And all these people are saint makers. They are helping you to become a saint. And he said, and there is another thing, says Swami Shivananda. You see, if these people will be out in the world, there will be a great danger for the world. Therefore, I keep them in the ashram. So, but of course, these people, because of the association with the great saints like Swamiji, they themselves along the way became saints. So, what was the question, Swamiji?
The question is how to practice bare insult and bare injury.
Yeah, so this is how you practice. You remember that the one that insults you, in fact, is your greatest benefactor, because we need to develop so many high qualities, like patience, for example. Patience is a very high quality in the spiritual path. How are you going to develop patience if you are in a cave? I mean, it's okay, you need patience not to fall asleep and not to get bored in a cave. But how are you going to develop patience? Or, for example, removal of anger is very important in the spiritual path. How are you going to develop removal of anger if nobody makes you angry? How are you going to develop patience if there are no obnoxious people around you? Like this. So, by interacting with difficult people, we can develop all these qualities, and at the same time we can help them also to develop high qualities, and together we evolve. So instead of being angry on these people, which actually they are our benefactors, we remember how they serve us, although it may not be pleasant, and then we understand the meaning of bare insult, bare injury. Yes, they insulted us, but what is that us that they insulted? You see, that us is our lower mind. It's our egotistic mind. This is what is insulted. And I have seen this. It's not very easy to be in an ashram, because an ashram is a powerful place where we evolve spiritually. And to evolve spiritually requires quite a lot of endurance, because we have to develop our personality and our qualities and to help others. And the main difficulty is this highest, Swami Shivananda called it the highest practice. Bare insult, bare injury, highest sadhana. This is the highest spiritual practice. Bare insult, bare injury, the highest yoga. This is the highest yoga. You didn't say the highest yoga is standing on your head or doing pranayama. No, it's this. And all these obnoxious, difficult people are helping us, but we are also obnoxious. This is the point. We also help others. So if you look at it, ultimately there are lots of similarities between us, because we all have difficulties. We all have our ups and downs. Even when we evolve and we are much better at what we do, each time that we conquer one layer of the mind, another layer manifests. Each time we purify one layer, suddenly we discover another layer, and it goes on and on and on. Of course, we evolve, but we have to be very thankful to the tenets of the ashram that help us to evolve. It would not be so easy if everyone was very angelic. If everyone was very angelic, We may be in heaven, but we will not evolve spiritually. And this is the point. So yes, there are difficult people and they help us. And therefore Swami Shivananda says, bear insult, bear injury, highest sadhana, bear insult, bear injury, highest yoga. I think, according to my watch, it's 5 minutes after 10. I think it would be good to stop here, because people have to wake up tomorrow morning. And but I will allow one more question, and that's it.
Swamiji, where is the fine line between karma and free will?
There are 3 types of karma, right? Karma means action, and karma also means the result of that action. So action as cause, and then the result of the action as effect. So the law of karma is the law of cause and effect, action and its result, right? So there are 3 types of karma. One is called prarabdha karma. This is the karma that we experience in this life, and it consists mainly of results of past actions. And it manifests as our experiences in our life. Our physical body is prarabdha karma, what we go through in our life, the thoughts in our mind, the feelings, our relationship, everything is part of those results of our past actions. We call this prarabdha karma, that karma which is allotted to this life, for this life. Then there is another type of karma which is called sanchita karma. Sanchita karma is the reservoir of karma from all lives. So this is the reservoir of the karmic seeds that we create in all of our lives, and it's there. That reservoir is there, and each time another batch of seeds are sprouting and we are born again. The third type of karma is called agami karma. And agami karma is the fresh karma that we create moment by moment to our thoughts, to our speech, and to our physical actions. That agami karma is what we call free will. So the actions that we do to our free will are causes which will result in the future in future lives, right? Future lives, future experiences. So every moment we act, and that action is a fresh karma that we create utilizing free will. So it is free will and fresh action that creates our future destiny. And those karmic seeds that we create moment, by what we think, by what we say, and by what we do, these actions become seeds in our subtle mind, and they are added to the reservoir of karma. And sometime in the future, these seeds are going to sprout, and they will sprout in the form of karmic results, like the karmic results that we experience right now. So this is the connection between karma and free will. What we call karma usually relates to sanchita and to prarabdha karma. And what we call free will is usually what we call agami karma, the fresh karma that we create moment by moment. And indeed, it is created by exercising our free will. And this is the last question. Om Tat Sat.